Hey out there, this is Friday, May 10th, 2019, and it's just about 9:38 in the morning here in Northern California. And today, as usual, I'll get into a lot of different stuff, and I wanted the focus, the theme to be the solutions and how to heal the divide, who to blame and who not to blame. And I'll get into that a lot more, but and of course, I'll get into some current events, my comments on recent current events and other talking points, and hopefully some thoughts from the last week. But I wanted to start off by talking about this lady I've been smitten by, and it doesn't seem to be changing. And my life has gotten a lot better. It's painful, and I haven't had a chance to meet this lady yet. I'm hopeful. I don't know what I would say to her. I know I would be pretty much dumbfounded. I would just pray, and God, if you want me to say anything, give me the right words to say to her, because that initial meeting would mean the world to me. Because listen, folks, I want this lady more than anything in this whole world. There's nothing, including everything, would I trade for her hand. I mean, that to me is the ultimate value, the ultimate gift that God can ever give a man. Okay, is a good woman. And I don't seek to change her life. She seems absolutely happy. I'm fascinated by her, and I'm drawn just like a magnet. That the attraction it feels scientific. It feels like physics, physical. It feels like something God did to me. But it is growth inducing, and therefore it's painful. Anytime you grow, you go through growing pains. And but I'm a better man all the way around. It's just everything in my life. My work has been better. Everything has been better. And I would just like to see if things can happen between us, if there's chemistry, and if so, I mean, the sky's the limit, and who knows what God has in store. But she is a prize. I know beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but God knows I'm not alone. My taste is not that different from other guys. I know there's got to be just tons of men, literally millions of men probably would love to have this lady. Maybe more, maybe, God knows, I mean, hundreds of millions of eligible men, better men than me in many ways. And so it's not cut and dry at this point, that's for sure. But I got to tell you, I just am absolutely enthralled with the possibility of ever getting to hold her in my arms, because it really is puppy love. These are the feelings that have been inspired by this lady's sweetness and cuteness, and there's perfection in my mind. I wrote a little bit about her today. I was just thinking, I've been trying to find a flaw in her, something to say, hey, you know what, hey man, you've been getting, everybody knows. I mean, it's obvious you've gotten a little crazy about this. You're obsessing. Is this healthy? I get it. I get it. I see it too. Okay, and so I've been looking for a flaw, and I cannot find one. I mean, she's perfect. To me, she's perfect. For me, she's perfect. Absolutely. I'm completely convinced. I'm 100% certain that I could be happy with this lady for all eternity. That's it. It's as simple as that, for all eternity. Yeah, that big, bold statement, but that's what I feel in my heart of hearts. And I know that I'm close enough to God, at least, where He's not going to lead me astray like this. This is obviously, she's a godly woman, or else I wouldn't feel this way about her. So I've been trying to find a fault in this lady, and coming up dry. She appears to be perfect, the perfect union of womanly maturity, combined with a giddy, virginal air of joy and innocence. hard-headed, serious, sober-minded, yet playful, cute as and pretty as could be. In a nutshell, she is a delightful example of a perfect female, at least the perfect girl for me. So I'll talk a little more about her. I've got a couple of poems, but I'll get into my regular preamble to this. I do this pontification period, and I don't feel particularly preachy this morning, but I would like to talk about the fact that what is most important to God should be what's most important to us. Okay, it's really simple. That people say, "Oh, you can't know God's will and all this," and I think, well, wait a minute, wait. Then how can you do God's will? So yes, you can do God's will, and wisdom is attainable. Even despite that song by Kansas that I love and everybody loves, "Dust in the Wind," right, where that one lyric in is, "If I claim to be a wise man, it surely means that I don't know." Well, come on. To this day, the world calls King Solomon the wisest man that ever lived, something to that effect. But Jesus, clearly, when he came thousands of years later, he said that, I don't know exactly how many years later. My history is not that great, especially ancient history, but a long time later, Jesus came on the scene. And Jesus knew all about Solomon. The scriptures were still available then. And so Jesus was reading and he knew what was written. And so King Solomon's wisdom was known to Jesus. And Jesus said, look, the wisdom that I'm giving you far surpasses that of King Solomon. And I believe that. I mean, how smart is a guy that has hundreds of wives and concubines? Can you imagine that? A guy that's in his right mind, that loves God, and understands that the greatest gift that God can ever bestow upon a man is a woman. Do you want to do that to your beloved? Do you want to prescribe to polygamy? You want to hurt her? You want a harem? Do you really want a harem? Do you really want to hurt the most precious gift God can ever give you, that woman? I mean, the answer is no. I mean, Jesus' wisdom was far greater than any other, okay? And even Moses, I mean, with his certificate of divorce that Jesus talked about, he said this was because of the hardness of your hearts. It never was supposed to be that way. You see, I'd still be with my original beloved if I had my way, but I mean, how long can a man wait? Is 30 years long enough? Because that's where we're at here. So this whole death do you part thing, you wait 30 years, it takes on a whole new definition, let me tell you. Okay, God kind of tells you it's time to move on, friend. And hey, I mean, my first love is the only woman that could ever come between this lady that I'm smitten by, and should have to do it before anything happened. If this lady and I get together and hey, and she agrees that she'll marry me, I mean, it's over. It's over. I mean, there's no dinking around here. I don't play with hearts. I'm not that kind of a guy. I'm not a homewrecker, and I'm not a heartbreaker. I'm a good, decent, noble, upright character. Okay, that's all I got going for me is my character. Okay, I don't have much more beyond that. But to me, that's the prize. I'm one of a kind. I have had a fascinating life, very adventurous, very interesting. I know a lot of very interesting people. I've got childhood friends I'd love to introduce this new lady to, and of course I'd like to show her off. I mean, she's the exemplification of perfect arm candy, the epitome. But beyond that, this lady is soul candy. And that is just, I just see my whole life being, right now, 10%, but going to 100% wholeness. And it boggles my mind to think how filled with joy and happiness and contentment and peace and all those good things that all men want and crave and yearn for, having all those things just by having her hand. And so I would definitely shut the door. You know, I would commit myself wholly and devote myself wholly, and she'll never find a guy more smitten by her who will love, honor, and cherish her any more than me. You see, I can't help talking about this lady, but this is the greatest gift. I do believe it's the greatest gift a man will ever get in his life. One lady. So King Solomon, with his hundreds of wives and concubines, I mean, we know what he had going for him, because he was, if you look at portraits of him, images, you'll see he was no Adonis, so he didn't have that going. Well, we all know he was fabulously wealthy. He adorned his palaces with gold, and I mean, you know, the ladies, you know, we all know that they like that. It's kind of normal. It's accepted that the female likes the security, right? Of course, that's what is the world's oldest profession, prostitution, right? So it's kind of like that. For the right price, yeah, you know, so I'm available for the right price, sort of thing. So, you know, these wives and concubines, they weren't slaves, so they were there with King Solomon of their own free will and accord. But can you imagine that? I mean, he had no grounding in one woman. He didn't even know God on that basis. It wasn't pure. It wasn't right. He was hurting God. He was, in my mind, making God jealous by doing that. I mean, how smart is that, to make God jealous? That's stupid, utterly stupid, foolish. So I don't think King Solomon was really nearly as wise as people will tell you. I think he had some very wise sayings. For sure, he had some wise thoughts that God was working on him. He had other writers, too, purportedly. If you read the book of Ecclesiastes, particularly, I've heard that there's different writers in that book. So not all the writing came from him. You got your Proverbs and you got your Song of Songs. All three of those books are stuff that were attributed to King Solomon. But his wisdom was nothing compared to the wisdom of Christ. I mean, Jesus cut to the chase. Okay, he went for the jugular. Okay, he didn't mince words, and he summed it up. And this is what I don't hear anybody talking about. Okay, really, is just to keep this thing very simple. When you want to know where Satan's throne is in this world, then you've got to understand fundamental economics. You've got to understand what money is all about.